It's August 7th. The sun is still baking the street. The air is hot and wet, like a bathroom after a long shower. Cicadas are screaming from the trees. You're reaching for iced tea, a fan, anything cool. And yet, on an old Chinese calendar, this exact day is the first day of autumn. That's not a mistake. The calendar doesn't care that you're sweating. It follows the sun, not the weather. Here's the strange part. On this hot, sticky day, families are gathering to eat heavy meat, stewed pork, roasted duck, rich, warm dishes, on purpose. It sounds backwards, but it isn't. Let me tell you why. Hey friends, this is East and Inner. I'm Ollie, just me, talking to you. Last time, I promised you pears. I said pears are famous for moistening the lungs and soothing a dry cough. Today, I'm going to explain why. And near the end, I'll give you a simple way to eat them. It feels like dessert, but it acts like medicine. There's a reason this promise comes now. The season is turning. And in Chinese medicine, the food that helps you through autumn is not random, it's a direct answer to what the season does to your body. Pears are part of that answer. So let's start with this strange date. In Chinese, this day is called Li Qiu, Li Qiu. It means the beginning of autumn. The Chinese calendar doesn't wait for leaves to change color. It follows the sun's path. Ancient astronomers divided that path into 24 equal parts. Each part is a solar term. When the sun crosses into a new segment, a new phase begins. August 7th is one of those markers. The weather may still feel like summer, but the energy has already shifted. Now, the 24 solar terms are not superstition. They are based on careful astronomy. The astronomers watched the sun's movement through the year. They divided the full circle into 24 segments. Each segment is 15 degrees. That may sound technical, but the simple part is this. Each small shift in the sun's position changes the amount of daylight. It changes the quality of heat. It changes how plants and animals behave. Farmers used this system for thousands of years. They knew when to plant. They knew when to transplant. They knew when to harvest. They knew when to rest. One term told them to fix the plows. Another said the rice seedlings were ready to move to the paddies. A third marked the day to bring the grain in. The system worked so well that it became a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage. That means the whole world has recognized it as something precious. It's not an old folktale. It's a working calendar. Li Qiu means the peak of yang has passed. Yang is the hot, expanding force. From this day forward, yin begins to rise. Yin is the cooling, contracting, storing force. You may not feel it right away. The afternoon heat is still strong. But if you look carefully, the light has changed. Late afternoon looks more golden. Some mornings carry a tiny hint of coolness. The shadows fall a little differently. The planet is turning a page. You don't need a thermometer to notice this. You just need to pay attention. The same walk you took in June feels different now. The sun hits your skin at a lower angle. The air smells a little drier, even on a hot day. These are small signals. The old calendar simply wrote them down. Now let's get back to that heavy meat. Why would anyone eat stewed pork on a hot day? Chinese medicine has a name for this tradition. In English, it's called pasting on autumn fat. It sounds funny, but it's not about getting fat. It's about replenishing. The first time I heard this tradition, I laughed. Meat on a 90-degree day? Then I watched my grandmother's family do it, and I stopped laughing. There was a method behind it. The same way you wouldn't wait until a snowstorm to buy firewood, the old way of eating doesn't wait for the cold to arrive. Think about summer. It's hot and humid. We naturally eat lighter foods, salads, fruit, watermelon, maybe cold noodles. That is right for summer, but it can also drain us. In Chinese medicine, this is called bitter summer. Some people lose their appetite for weeks. The heat sits on the body like a heavy coat. You drink more, you eat less. You might wake up tired even after a full night. That's the quiet drain of heat and dampness. They can use up qi and fluids. By August, many people feel a little empty, tired, run down, maybe a little thin. The spark of summer has faded. That empty feeling is common. It shows up as a dull energy or a wandering appetite. Pasting on autumn fat is the signal to stop draining and start building. A hearty meal of meat supports the spleen and stomach. It rebuilds qi and blood. It also strengthens the body's outer defense called Wei Qi. Wei Qi is the shield that sits at the surface. It guards the door before the draft gets in. Cold and flu season loves a weak shield. That heavy bowl of pork is a kind of repair work. You are not overeating for no reason. You are filling the storehouse before the cold arrives. It's preparation. It just looks like a family feast. Think of it like insulating a house before winter. You don't wait for the frost to check the windows. You check them in September while the weather is still kind. The body works the same way. Building the defense before the threat arrives is the whole trick of seasonal medicine. I have a vivid memory of this. I was in a small restaurant one hot August evening. The air was still sticky, but the tables were crowded. A big pot of braised pork sat in the middle. Steam rose from it. Everyone was eating with serious focus. It looked almost funny in the heat. But the mood was not funny. It was determined. They were preparing for the season ahead. That's what pasting on autumn fat really is. The old man next to me ate slowly, savoring every piece. He told me his mother had done the same meal every August since he was a boy. His children thought it was just a family habit. He knew it was more than that. It was a handoff of seasonal wisdom. Let's move from the dinner table to the season itself. Autumn in Chinese medicine belongs to the metal element. The metal element is about structure, clarity, and release. The organs linked to metal are the lungs and the large intestine. The climate of autumn is dryness. The emotion is grief or sadness. The lungs are considered the most delicate organ. Some old texts call them the tender organ. They are the first line of defense. Every breath brings the outside world inside you. The lungs also govern the skin. Your skin is their outer expression. What happens inside your lungs can show up on the surface. That's why the lungs are so exposed. You can close your eyes, you can cover your ears, you can stop talking, but you cannot stop breathing. The air comes in all day, every day. So the lungs meet everything first, and the skin stands guard with them. As the summer humidity fades, something called autumn dryness can creep in. This is not just feeling thirsty. It's a kind of environmental dryness that can use up the body's fluids. The first signs are easy to miss. You wake up with a dry throat. You have a small tickly cough. Your lips feel cracked. Your skin feels tight or itchy. Maybe your nose feels dry at night. Maybe your voice catches when you laugh. That is your body sending a message. Dryness in this framework is not a weather report. It's a condition that builds quietly. A week of dry air and warm wind can take more fluid from the body than you notice. By the time your throat feels rough, the process has been running for a while. That's why the fix is food, not just water. Early autumn is special. The dryness often mixes with the last of summer heat. Chinese medicine calls that warm dryness. It needs cooling and moistening foods. Later, when the air turns cold, we get cool dryness. That needs warming and moistening foods instead. Right now, we are in the warm dry phase. So the pear approach is perfect. If you let the dryness go unchecked, it can settle into the throat and skin. Then, when the cold winds arrive, the body has to fight on two fronts. Moistening now is easier than repairing later. A little moistening now can make November a lot more comfortable. There's an old phrase from the Yellow Emperor's inner canon. It describes autumn energy as rongping. This means to gather, to contain, and to bring things into a peaceful balance. After summer's wild growth, nature draws its energy inward and down. Trees send their strength to the roots. The sap slows down. The leaves will fall, but the tree is not dying. It is storing. The body wants to do the same. Autumn is not a loss. It is a gathering. I talked about rongping a few episodes ago when we visited the autumn chapter of the inner canon. This episode is the practical side of the same idea. The classic text describes the spirit of the season. The pear soup is what you do about it. Now, let's talk about food. If autumn's main challenge is dryness that hits the lungs, the answer is food that moistens. Chinese food therapy doesn't focus only on vitamins. It looks at temperature, flavor, and which organs a food supports. For autumn, there are 3 stars: pears, lily bulb, and white fungus. Pears are the king of autumn foods. Asian pears are especially valued. They are round and golden brown. Their flesh is crisp and full of juice. In Chinese food therapy, pears are cooling and sweet. They go straight to the lung and stomach pathways. They help generate fluids. They moisten dryness. They help move phlegm out. Starting in August, Chinese markets are full of golden brown pears. They sit in tall pyramids, stacked shoulder to shoulder. People pick them up, turn them over, and check the skin. They know they are buying medicine that tastes like fruit. If you've never had an Asian pear, imagine a pear that's crunchier and juicier than any you've had. It's almost like biting into a piece of clean, sweet water. That juice is the point. The body takes that fluid and uses it where autumn has left things dry. Lily bulb is the edible bulb of the lily flower. It looks like small, pale petals. It is slightly sweet and a little bitter. That tiny bitterness is part of its gift. It clears heat and moistens the lungs. It also helps calm the spirit. On a dry autumn evening, a little lily bulb in soup is a quiet steadying. It doesn't shout, it steadies. In the old text, the spirit and the lungs are close neighbors. So it makes sense that a food for autumn dryness also settles the mind. The same bowl that soothes a dry cough can help you sleep more peacefully. White fungus is also called snow fungus or tremella. It looks like a pale, jelly-like flower. If you buy it dried, it comes as a hard, yellowish clump. But after soaking, it unfolds into a soft, cloudy mass. It is neutral and sweet, so almost everyone can use it. White fungus is wonderful for nourishing yin. It turns the soup silky and gelatinous. That texture is exactly the kind of moisture your body needs in autumn. These 3 foods together are a classic remedy for a dry autumn cough. The texture matters more than you might think. A thin broth can pass through quickly. A silky, jelly-like soup lingers. It coats the throat and the stomach lining. It gives the body something to hold on to. That's the difference between drinking water and drinking moisture. Now, a raw pear is good for clearing heat and giving quick fluid, but a cooked pear goes deeper. It is easier to digest and strengthens yin. That's why the classic autumn soup is cooked. I promised you a simple recipe. I'll get there. But first, let's look at a few autumn habits. Food is only half the picture. Autumn is not just a date on a calendar. It is a shift in the whole world. The old classic says to go to bed early and rise early in autumn. Shift your sleep a little earlier as the evenings darken. Turn off the overhead light sooner and let a small lamp or candle ease you into rest. This one is easy to feel. By mid-September, the body starts asking for sleep earlier. The nights get longer and something in us wants to follow them. Fighting that pull with bright screens and late work is like arguing with the sunset. The tradition simply says to stop arguing. Your movement can change too. Summer might be for intense sweating, but autumn calls for gentler movement like Tai Chi or long walks. Feel the cooler air on your face and watch the streetlights flicker on as you pass. You don't need to become a Tai Chi master. A slow walk with your hands free and your shoulders down is enough. The point is to move without scattering. Sweat is fine in July. In October, the same workout can leave you more tired than energized. Start your morning with a cup of warm water. Add a tiny drop of honey if you like. Hold the cup in both hands and let the steam rise over your chin. It sounds too simple to matter, but after 8 hours of sleep, your throat and your stomach both wake up dry. A cup of warm water is the gentlest possible hello. It wakes up the system without shocking it. Pay attention to your skin. It is the outer surface of your lung health. Keep a small bottle of jojoba or almond oil on the bathroom shelf and put it on while your skin is still damp. When autumn starts pulling moisture out of the air, the skin feels it before anything else. A little oil after a shower is not vanity. It's the same logic as the pear soup applied from the outside. Chinese medicine links this season with a little sadness or grief. That is not something to fear. Sweep the leaves from the front step. Drop an old worn shirt into the giveaway bag and let things fall away. Autumn is the season of letting go. If you notice a quiet melancholy in October, the old framework doesn't see it as a flaw. It sees it as the season speaking. The task is not to fight the feeling. It's to release something small, the way the tree releases its leaves. And notice how light that makes you feel. Okay. Back to that pear soup. This is the one I promised. It is so easy and it feels like a treat. Take one Asian pear, leave the skin on, core it and cut it into chunks. Add a small handful of white fungus. If the fungus is dried, soak it first until it becomes soft and jelly-like. Add 2 or 3 dates. Put everything in a pot with enough water to cover. Bring it to a gentle simmer. Let it cook slowly for about an hour. The pear will turn soft and almost clear. The white fungus will become silky. The dates will melt into the broth. The kitchen will smell sweet and warm, like a baked pear, but without the sugar. It's a gentle smell. It hangs in the air and makes the whole apartment feel calm. I like to keep the lid on most of the time, then lift it once or twice to stir. That hour of simmering is part of the medicine. Slow cooking changes the pear. It becomes easier to digest and gentler on the stomach. The same fruit that was cooling and sharp when raw turns soft and nourishing. This is why the classic autumn remedy is a soup, not a salad. You can eat it warm. It feels like dessert, but it supports your lungs in a quiet way. Spoon it into a bowl and sit down somewhere comfortable. This is the taste of early autumn. I remember watching a market woman pick pears one by one. She turned each one over in her hands. She tapped the skin lightly with her knuckle. She checked for bruises and soft spots. She didn't rush. She was making the same soup for her grandson. She didn't call it medicine. She just said it would help him feel better. That is Chinese food therapy at its most honest. Her hands were the best tool I ever saw for choosing pears. No chart, no app, no list. Just a tap, a turn, and a look. She knew exactly what she was looking for because she had done it every autumn for decades. So here is what I want you to remember. August 7th is the beginning of autumn, even if the heat hasn't left. The Chinese calendar follows the sun, not the temperature. This is the season of metal, of lungs, of dryness. The old tradition of pasting on autumn fat is about rebuilding after the depleting summer. And the foods that help you through this season are quietly delicious. Pears, lily bulb, and white fungus. Add a few simple habits. Sleep a little earlier, move more gently, drink warm water, take care of your skin, let go of what you don't need. Autumn is not something to fight, it's something to lean into. Next time, we're going to talk about the invisible map running through your body, what Chinese medicine calls the meridians, why the needle and moxa both travel along them. That's next time on East and Inner. The map is not drawn on the skin. You can't see it in an X-ray, but the whole system of this medicine moves along it. We'll look at what the meridians actually are and why understanding them changes how you see everything else. Thanks for listening. This was East and Inner. If this connected with you, join us on Apple Podcasts. Just search East and Inner. The full written article is at tcmway.net. This podcast is for educational purposes only. not medical advice. Please consult your doctor before making any health changes. Full articles and references at tcmway.net. Talk to you next time.